starting your own business, what that feels like. Would you even encourage somebody to do that? You've been probably exposed with enough people that have a decent background. Sometimes they're eager enough to want to try it. Would you recommend the lifestyle of an integrator owning a business? You guys want
Yeah,
to?
Bret wants to chime in. I see him. He's
yeah,
ready.
yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think there's a certain type of person that owning a business, that's their thing, and all I can say is you know it when you know it. And for me, there was no other option. It was I had to do this, and I don't regret it at all. And for anybody who else wants to do it, I say go for it. If you feel like you're ready for it, do it. But I guess the one thing I could say is you can't live in both worlds. You can't have your foot in having the security of a job. You can't live in the W-2 world and then also want to own your own company. I I firmly believe you have to make the jump, and there's there's nobody there to catch you. You just have to make the jump, and you'll survive. You have to. You don't have a choice, so you will.
What made you jump, Bret?
It was just not happy working for somebody else. I just couldn't do it, and I didn't have a choice. Honestly, I just wasn't happy where I was at, and that was the next step for me. So it actually was a very easy decision.
Was it probably like upper management? They restricted you. Not enough
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
Okay.
There was a ceiling, and I hit it.
Okay.
Yep. And
Right.
so right away, my productivity dropped off a cliff. I mean, instantly, and that's what it was. I needed that ceiling removed, and that's what happened. The other thing was travel. I was working for an integrator and traveling a lot, and my second was just born. Um, it was too much travel, and so I saw all these plants in Kansas City, and I'm like, well, why can't I just work in these? Which was naive, thinking you can just go in there and say, hey, let me do work here. It doesn't work that way. But now here we are. It's been 6, 7 years now, and we have 12 clients all around Kansas City. So we're
Nice.
making it work.
He,
That's great.
he reminds me of a book that was given to me when I started mine. It's called The E-Myth. I highly recommend it to anybody that's running a business. And it's one that the author always refers to the people starting businesses as technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, so I had a soft start though. Um, I was unemployed for 3 months out of the year as a prof, so um, there was it, and it is a non. I agree entirely with Bret. You can't be in both locations. I had a weird condition that allowed that condition to exist. So once I lost that backing, and when I jumped into startups, which is a different, which let's not, that's another level of crazy, is to jump into the venture capital startup space world. Um, that that doesn't allow, that was a different case, but it was a lot like being an entrepreneur because you were making all those decisions along the way as long as the money kept flowing. Because I made those jumps, I lost all that benefit that I had as a prof, where I had a couple clients that I ended up having to flush those clients. And so now I went 3 months this year unemployed because of the tech bubble burst. And now I do have a W-2, but it is really hard to get that bounce back. Wife never had a W-2 job. She was always a self-employed developmental therapist. So we were still living in that entrepreneurial world. She now has the W-2 so that she'll bring in what the benefits of those do. So that's another flip, right? So it's just been this back and forth. my world is not a normal standard entrepreneurial path. J Pillar Design and Consulting exists, and it will always exist because I have other non-industrial control entrepreneurial little gigs going on in there that are also existing. So it is a seizure, isn't it? Because I see a potential. Hey, I can make $100 a month doing that over there. So let's do that. So you got all those little pieces. Yeah. So 2003 has not been the stellar year. If you look at the Genau is my industrial controls branch of J Pillar Design and Consulting. Yeah, it's only been negatives at this point, but that's okay because across the board. I think working for yourself is great, but like Bret said, you have to be of that mindset. And I do not. My current manager will tell you I do not work well for others. Right? So he knows it. I know it, and we're juggling a bit, but it's working.
Yeah, I have two things on that. My business partner is more of I would say he's more of an artist, a painter. So he looks at himself as like more of a creator. So he doesn't want a timesheet. When he comes in and he's ready to have what he wants to do, then he'll do it. But it's not going to be on a scheduled time. And creativity comes and goes, right? It doesn't start at 9 a.m. in the morning and it's finished off at 5. So it's sometimes it starts at midnight. So those are kind of like something that we have to work around with. When you do have a creative person, it's those restrictions are something that most people will fight against. The other thing about starting your business, I don't know about you guys for this, but you almost need a partner to start one because they can just to provide the stability, maybe sometimes the benefits of like life and health benefits, but it is a rocky road for any partner to deal with. So that's like the ugly side of it. And that is that your hours are going to fluctuate. You'll have ups and downs with sometimes you get the project, sometimes you don't get the project. Sometimes you throw time and energy with trying to manage that kind of stuff. And sometimes your mind doesn't stop at 6 p.m. and you bring some of your work to your partner and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you guys ever had a partner that struggled with this, but I would say that there's a collateral damage when starting. I would say that.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend you don't start a business 2 days after your kid is born. That makes it really, really fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. And also married to my business partner. So Caitlin, right? She's been doing controls for 10 years. And honestly, she's one of the few people that we see eye to eye on everything work-wise. But running a business together has been challenging. It's put a lot of strain on personal wise because the business side, I'm good with that. The personal stuff, it really gets intermingled, and it's a whole other set of challenges.
So when you burn up a PLC and you come home that night, you have to listen to it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, you guys like have separate like departments that you guys work into, and or like areas of your company. Maybe that would help.
Well, we have our own
Or is
clients, so I have mine and she has hers. So that works
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Now, Brett, do you guys actually stop talking about work, or is she okay with you can talk about work after work hours?
She definitely stopped. She has those days where she's like, no. And I don't have those. It doesn't turn off with me. So some days I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like it's Sunday night. We have to go over this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife is absolutely a business partner, but has zero technical. She's an early childhood development lady. That's what she does. So, one of our other gigs is that we rent out baby equipment for people where I live near Notre Dame and lots of people come in and out and you need a baby crib. I've got a couple that are for rent and she runs that. And that runs under, we only have one LLC because why would I have multiple? And so she runs that's managed that way. And there's a few other little pieces that are in there. And one day maybe we'll have some rentals that will run under that too. And so then it'll be more into it. But as far as the industrial controls parts go, she manages my books, but she doesn't know what those numbers. She knows what the dollars mean at the end and how much she can spend, at the end. but that's where that is.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to how you've diversified your portfolio and what your LLC can do.
Yeah. I am good at being an engineer. I like being an engineer. I probably should have never been an engineer. and after 20 years of it, I would love to find a way to not be an engineer. So, which you'll never be, right? It's kind of who I am as a personality. But I want to make sure. To be frank, we've had lots of pitfalls, right? So the goal is if I've got 5 or 6 different ways of revenue coming in, there's 5 or 6 different ways of revenue coming in. So that's kind of my goal and on the look at it.
Yeah. Now, I'll end it on this question. What is the one thing that you guys like to do? Like, as far as when you were talking about like you like programming, do you like running the business? What do you think is your favorite thing out of all of it?
I like architecting it, designing it, and making sure that the customer gets what they expected, right? What the customer thinks they want isn't necessarily what they actually want, and working with them and getting that process and then helping get to the end where everyone sees the, wow, that's awesome piece. That's the part that I love the most. There's a lot of heartache and anger and some frustration along the way that I would love to hand off to everyone else. but those are the pieces that I like, is helping somebody see the value of the field, making that operator feel beneficial, in the end, right? Everyone's job gets better if we did our job right. That's what I like.
Any thoughts? What's the favorite?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of it is coming up with a very simple design that's rock solid. And for me, it doesn't get any better than that. You take a complex problem and you boil it down to, okay, it just needs to do this and this and this. And when it gets that simple, usually that is the most solid solution, and it just run forever. That's what I like.